Things are happening. Winter meetings sessions are done. Everybody left Orlando pretty much, but I guess I'm still here. Shout out to the team. It was a great few days. A lot of hard work behind the scenes to put it all together. Many guests that joined us. And actually, I got to spend some time with our Monster Territory host. That is Robbie Hyde. He does an awesome job post-game after every single Red Sox game all year long, and then fills up the content in the off-season. Todd Father, he's a little newsbreaker now. He broke a little news last night, and then everybody else jumped on this morning. Robbie Hyde said Mark Leiter Jr. signing with the A's. He was told he was correct. 1 year, $3 million. The A's pick up a little relief piece. You got to watch Leiter a little bit too.
Yeah, he's Tom's River guy. That's my guy. We used to work out in the off seasons together, facing live, and we would go outside in that 35 to 45 degree weather, like Kratz knows all too well, before we would hit summer. Good for him. I think this is kind of a new little start for him. To kind of get this going here. Maybe even get him going for a couple more years after this, dude. He's not a bad reliever at all. He throws well. He has a really good 12-6 breaking ball that he uses. His splitter is his favorite pitch. But I think kind of getting out of New York, getting out of, the realm of living right down the street pretty much is going to bode well for him. He's with a team that is pretty much getting a new stadium pretty soon. And, why not? I think this is a great signing for him. He can go out there and be himself, not really worry about much, and just go out and dominate and pitch and be Mark. Be Mark Jr. It's funny. I was talking to a couple of my guys on my travel ball team, go to his dad, who does a lot of training for pitching. And I talk to him every once in a while about, his son and stuff like that. But he's got a good head over his shoulders. His dad is a really incredible guy. He's helping out the youth here a lot. And I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him. I think this is a good fit for him, kind of to breathe a little bit and go out there and play baseball.
Yeah, he's a guy that's kind of bounced around a little bit. The A's added somebody. I'd love to see them, continue to push. They have a young core of guys that they tried to add. When they added Severino last year, to me, this offseason will say whether or not they added Severino. They made the other moves, and I'm blanking on who else they added last year because they had to. Like, show me this year. I get it. You traded Mason Miller. You got a nice little haul back. My opinion is, don't stop. Make this move to Vegas 3-4 years from now be when you guys are hitting on all cylinders. And I think a little move like this is great. But don't let the Luis Severino trade talks dampen the little bit of spending that happened last year.
Mm-hmm. I know one other move they made a year ago, Jose Leclerc, that did not work out. Injury. I think he only ended up with 10 appearances. Because Leclerc actually got some decent coin. He was coming off the
old Ranger body.
Yeah, right. You know a little Jose Leclerc, and the year before he won a World Series, or was that the year before that? 23, he won a World Series. Right. And then he signed for $10 million. He had shoulder surgery, so that didn't work out, also due to injury. But anyway, I'm with you. Yeah, if you're the A's, I know they've kind of leaked out what their spending trajectory is going to look like heading into Vegas. It's not going to be nearly what they said. Shocker. They're not going to make as much in Sacramento. They haven't been selling like they thought they would. I think they're going to struggle with attendance unless they are really freaking good. So we'll see if there's more activity from them the rest of the offseason. But let's hit some breaking news. Atlanta Braves building up their bullpen. Now it's Robert Suarez, 3 years, $45 million. Jeff Passan breaks it, and then Ken Rosenthal adds that he heard Iglesias will remain the Braves' closer, and Robert Suarez will be the setup guy. That could change depending on how things look during the season. Either way, Kratz, that's a nice little 1-2 punch, 8-9. I know Iglesias had his struggles early on in the season, but then he was gangbusters for them down the stretch. They bring him on. I really like Robert Suarez.
Me too. I mean, not many people knew about him until he burst on the scene in 22, when he ended up giving up that home run to Bryce Harper. But he really has a unique set of, how he faces guys. Can he do that? Can he continue to do that with predominantly fastballs, predominantly that late life fastball in the 7th, 8th inning? Todd will tell you the at-bats in the 7th and 8th are not necessarily the same at-bats as in the 9th. And Iglesias, I think, at the end of the year, plus with this contract, earned to be the closer, but there's going to be a nice competition here. And really, I get it. Everybody knows 3 outs are 3 outs, but I'll be interested to see how they really deploy Robert Suarez. Will they deploy him in the 7th if you're facing the Phillies, Schwarber, Harper, Turner in the 7th? Or is he going to be a strict 8th inning guy? It'll be interesting to see what Walt Weiss does.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right on that. I mean, you can say that now. Spring training will dictate that a little bit. Maybe, something happens where it's like, all right, we might use him in this situation or not. You wish kind of more guys were a little more receptive to that kind of thing. Any way to win. And I think this is a monster pickup for the Braves. I think this is a really good pickup. Suarez, his strikeouts were up. His control was down or was better too last year. I mean, he's a guy, he's a towering figure. To me, at least, it looks like every time he gets on there, he's stoic. He doesn't really change his mindset too much, and he just goes out there and pitches. Whether he does good or not, he points to the Lord, and he just keeps on going. So for him, good for him. 3 years, 45. I thought that was an awesome pickup. Here go the Braves again, man. They are not afraid of going out there and spending and getting some guys. And it seems like it's like, oh, man, they're not the Dodgers spending millions and more million, like double or triple that amount. 45, 30 here and there. They're finding ways to get these guys to come over, and I think this is a really good pickup.
Who do you guys like better, Devin Williams or Robert Suarez? They signed for very close money.
For me right now, I would say Robert Suarez, just knowing on the fact of what last year's performance.
Yeah. Oh, last year's performance. It's a good call. It's not even close. I mean, we have ERA plus, right? And teams look at a lot of things. They're looking at that pitch shape and stuff plus and expected numbers, right? I mean, there have been plenty of guys this offseason, for example, with 4+ ERAs getting a lot of money. Devin Williams is one of them. Robert Suarez has gotten it done with the traditional numbers too, Kratz. I mean, the ERA has been south of 3 back-to-back years, and the ERA plus, park and league adjusted, 144 this past season, 149 the year before.
I disagree. Devin Williams.
Why?
Devin Williams, I get it. The peripherals are there, but what are you looking for in a 9th inning? Are you looking for strikeouts? Clear advantage. What are you looking for in a long-term contract? When I consider 3 years a long-term contract. Devin Williams will be Robert Suarez's age when his contract is over. How is Robert Suarez going to age? What kind of miles did he put on his body banging around the minor leagues, banging around over in Japan till he was 30 when he made it to the big leagues? To me, I'll take, because the money's similar. I know he had a better year. I know Robert Suarez had a better year. But in my opinion, watching Devin Williams, I felt like he was not used correctly. The pitch selection was not used correctly. If the Mets now they have a new pitching coach, but if the Mets can figure that out, I think this will be the better contract.
Let me ask you this though, but he should be in control of his own pitch count. No, if that's what you're saying. I'm not trying to call you out, but him and the catcher 100%. Should be on the same page, right? So that's where it's like, I hear you, but at the same time, it's like, you're in control of these outcomes here, dude. If you don't want to throw your changeup 4 or 5 times in a row, you don't have to. I felt like for him, and Kratz, I'll let you get your point. I felt like his fastball wasn't there last year, in my opinion. And it made that changeup look a little bit weaker because now, all right, if you're not throwing strikes with the fastball, I'm going to sit on that changeup.
He threw 10% more changeups. You have to establish your fastball no matter what. Like, I get it. His changeup is Bugs Bunny. It has the highest spin of any changeup. Like, guys don't see it. But it's like we always talk about with Tommy Kahnle. You can't just keep throwing it. Oh, wait, you can. But it's something that when you pop that 95, when you're able to touch that 97, I think there's part of it, a new area, and you are 100% right. I am not saying that he said, oh, the pitch calling was incorrect. But when you go to a organization like the Yankees, when you go to an organization like the Rays, I'm trying to think of other pitching prowess teams, like you want to believe, hey, you know what? They're going to unlock some stuff. You want to believe that, okay, I hear what you're saying. My pitch, my changeup, that's my pitch. It's the GOAT. It's gotten me to where I am. I can use it more. Okay, I will. I'll trust you. Mm-hmm. At some point, you make the choice. And every time he grips that ball, he's making the choice. Whether he's just like, yeah, sure, I'll throw a changeup. Yeah, sure, I'll throw a changeup.
Yeah.
He's making that choice. I'm just saying, I think not everybody is built the exact same way that their pitch is what is going to ultimately go to it. I just don't think that's always the case.
And one has a better fastball, one has a better changeup, Todd Father. I mean, that's clear cut, right? Devin Williams is known for his changeup. Suarez is known for his fastball. You're trying to just get to it and use it as much as possible, but I'll take the heater.
Yeah, because you have to, if you're not establishing your fastball, then as a professional, if you can't find it, like I said before, if you can't find that first strike or you're not throwing as often, I know I'm getting at least two changeups. Still hard to hit. I'm not saying Devin Williams is a bad pitcher. I hope people understand. I think he's really, really good pitcher. I just think the fastball wasn't ultimately there last year. And when you take away a pitch from professional pitchers, and then the next one is usually their best pitch, I'm going to take my chances all day and know that I'm going to get at least two of those changeups if I work the count right.
Fan question. Buddy said, love it. Do you think we need one more bullpen arm or get a starter and put Holmes or Reynolds in the bullpen? I think they might sign a bullpen arm, but it's not going to be anything close to high leverage. They've got the high leverage taken care of, and now you can mix and match and see if you can find value for a middle relief / setup guy. That would be my answer for now, Kratz. We'll see what happens with Lopez and how he looks heading into spring training. I could see a world where he ends up shifting back to the bullpen. I think Holmes is a starter, and apparently Holmes is in a really good spot already this offseason. I think they're going to keep churning him to be a starter. That's just my take. We can get some Braves expert analysis on Hammer territory and for our Hammer guys, but I think it's safe to say they're not also going to sign Pete Fairbanks. Do I think they should? Yes. I'm the biggest believer in super bullpens for what it does during the season, and then, of course, in the postseason, and it gives you insurance in case one of these guys has a bad year. That stuff happens all the time, too.
Or you just are dominant. I'm not saying I was at the genesis of super bullpens, but the 2014 bullpen where we went and for the Royals and we went and lost Game 7 of the World Series, that's a good problem to have. You know what happened the next year? Dudes get hurt. Other guys have to step in. So, yeah, of course, you want to see the Braves go and get somebody else if you're a Braves fan. But one thing I think organizations need to continue to know what their superpower is. I'm talking back since I started watching baseball. The Braves have produced pitching. The Braves have produced starting pitching. Now, they're still producing starting pitching. Look at Holmes. Look at Waldrop. Look at Smith-Shawver. Look at Ian Anderson in their run back in when they won the World Series in 2021. They produced starting pitching. And nowadays, when you're producing starting pitching, you're not producing dudes that are just throwing little cutter, sinker, all this stuff. I forgot Schwellenbach. You're producing dudes that throw hard. They can transition those guys to the locations in the bullpen that, to me, I think they need from now on. And that's why the Braves are really set up, because they always produce some type of young pitching to come up.
And I think Suarez, because he was such a late bloomer, is still evolving more so than most relievers at his age. Of course, you've got to maintain the fastball velo at a high level when you're so fastball reliant, but he almost doubled his changeup usage last year. It's not a great pitch for him. It's all about the four seam and the two seam, but to offer a different look, I think was important. That was kind of the scouting report on how he can get a little better in 25, and he was able to maintain the results. Also, keep in mind, a lot of the blip came when there was a tip situation, right? The famous picture / video last year with the Red Sox and the tablet, and I think it was Cora in the dugout showing the difference in the pre-pitch setup with the fastball and the changeup, and it sounded like teams were on that, and the report came out. Padres are like, yeah, obviously we already know about this. Sounds like they fixed it. So just throwing that out there. Remember that?
I want somebody to come out one time and be like, no, we had no idea. Thank you, ESPN, Apple TV, for getting that shot. Whoever it was that got the shot, like, no, I had no idea. Like, don't ever let me be a big league manager. I will play some games like that and be like, are you guys kidding?
I would love that. I would die for those post-game interviews, Todd Father, where Kratz is like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they picked that up for us. Guys, I'm going to have to be quick on this press conference today because I have to go talk to our team about how to fix this tip that we already have known about for 3 weeks, and our team's been working with him on every bullpen session. But just throwing it out there for numbers purposes. Point is, I'm a big fan of Robert Suarez. I do want to get quickly to Mikę Yastrzemski. The name is well known, but also the player's been really solid and consistent for years now, and he signs up with the Braves. That one was last night. So while we're on the topic, you get Mikę Yastrzemski added to the mix, and it gives them a lot of flexibility. And here's someone who had a really nice season. It's 2 years, $23 million. So that takes you through 2027. There's a club option for 2028. That's either $7 million or a $4 million buyout, which essentially means if he's still cranking pretty good, you're going to take that because it's only a $3 million difference. So it almost to me looks like a 3-year deal for $30 million for him. So I give them a lot of credit for adding someone that I think will give them flexibility. And we don't know what Sean Murphy's going to look like when he first comes back. So assuming Drake Baldwin's the catcher, you've got, hopefully for Brave purposes, Dubon and Yastrzemski that can give them flexibility even as bats off the bench too, right? One hits lefties really well, one hits righties really well, and opens up some DH time for guys like Olsen and Riley. I think they want to start to mix those guys in with a little more DH time if possible so that they can get, in their mind, better offensive production and not be rolling out the 160 games for everybody in the field.
Olsen's not coming out. Olsen wants to play every single day. That dude's got one.
Give me a DH once a month.
No, I think it's your boy. No. I think it's your boy who's in right field. I think it's Acuna. I think you understand that he probably wants to be out there every day too. But that DH spot, you don't want to put Acuna DH and then run out what they've run out the last few years. They've tried. Obviously, they had to bounce. They had to really figure it out with Kelnick. Eli White was filling in like different spots, and then they got Profar last year. Look what happened with that. Like you understand that your superstars in the outfield position need to have some, maybe some days where he gets off his feet and DHs. Maybe Acuna doesn't like it, and maybe I'm completely wrong. But the issue with Yaz is if you're not playing him every day, which I get it, they won't, he's 35. So what does that look like for him? What does that look like? How does he stay ready? Because to me, I think there's not everyday at-bats for him. And until certain things shake out this offseason, I like the signing because he's a very productive bat. He's a good piece, and I think they got a good number for him. But I'm just wondering where at 35 he's going to get his everyday at bats, and maybe they think, hey, we're good with paying $14 million for 350 at bats.
Well, it's $10 million a year essentially if you're looking at a 3-year deal, right? And even if it's 2, it's what, 11 and change, something like that. If you're taking that number, and they need depth. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. Profar also can do a little DH time. I mean, Yastrzemski's going to hit against right-handed pitching, and he's going to, for the most part, sit against left-handed pitching these days, right? So that's your flexibility. You have him off the bench. Reliever comes in, boom, big at bat for Yaz. I think these are depth moves. The Braves are like, we have money. We can spend on a guy who's like a 3.5 outfielder, right? He's not going to start every day. Dubon, he's not going to start every day, hopefully, if they land their shortstop, which I still think could be someone like Kim. So anyway, I really like it from a depth perspective for Atlanta. These are 2 really good moves in my mind. Atlanta is going to be a force again next year. They're going to be a pain in the ass in the NL East. In my mind, I don't know how you guys feel, but you get Acuna full season, the whole deal. So good start to the offseason for the Atlanta Braves. The team that's really sweeping through the offseason right now is Baltimore, and Ryan Ripken's going to join us to break it all down. Hey, Ryan Ripken is here with us right now. We're talking Orioles. You can follow him at Ryan Ripken Show on Twitter, and then also just type that right into YouTube, and you can check out his show all about baseball and the Baltimore Orioles, which are the hot topic right now. Ryan, good to see you here. I saw you briefly at the winter meetings in the scramble. I was like half sprinting over to get to the set in time. I'm always that guy. But anyway, good to see you here, and a lot's changed since I saw you. Pete Alonso added to the mix. Your thoughts?
Yeah, of course that happens when I'm leaving. I left Tuesday night, and I was hoping there would be a little bit of action. It was good to see you, though, Scott, and you were hustling. But I got to say, in Baltimore, and for the Baltimore fan base, they've been waiting for a move to happen, right? And I've gotten a lot of texts from people saying this is the most fun off season all of a sudden. It wasn't fun maybe 12 hours prior or whenever it was or 24 hours when Kyle Schwarber signed back to the Phillies. Everyone goes, here the O's are again. They're not landing the big guy, even though we all felt that Kyle Schwarber best fit was back with the Phillies. But it proved that the Orioles are going for it. They're in it. And they needed a guy that posts up. They need a guy that you can plug in, no concerns. And when they lost Santander the year prior, that was their leading RBI offensive guy the past 3 seasons. And now you're getting Pete Alonso that's averaging 40 jacks, 120 ribbies over that time frame. So I love it. And I think the bigger indication is whether it works out for 5 years or not, time will tell. But it's showing the fan base and future free agents that Baltimore is going to continue to be aggressive. And I believe they're far from done here as we continue on the rest of this offseason.
Obviously, we want them to get pitching. That's obvious. But does this signing of a position player, which they went out and got Tyler O'Neill last year and felt like that wasn't great use of their money, and then Ramon Laureano, now you have a marquee free agent. Is there any indication that this could make a Gunnar Henderson, an Adley Rutschman, one of these young stars, maybe sign an extension? Like, hey, why am I going to sign an extension? None of my buddies are going to be here. But now you have a power bat that's going to hit in front of or behind one of those guys that they haven't extended to this point.
Yeah, I think one of the underlying things is that Alonso's a Boris guy. And so the Orioles, if we want to do the math here, they got quite a few Boris guys on that team. Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westburg, Gunnar Henderson. Now, Gunner's it's gonna cost the O's maybe a full they're gonna have to bring a bank to get Gunner. And I don't know what that's gonna look like for him, but I do think it sends a message that one, the Orioles have said, hey, we're willing, Scott, and all of your clients, we want you to be in Baltimore. We want our guys to be in Baltimore. And I think that is the messaging here. The crazy thing here for the Orioles, if you look at the deals that have been done over time, this is the second largest contract in Orioles history. Chris Davis was the big one. Then now it's Pete Alonso. And then there's a huge discrepancy between Pete Alonso's contract to the third highest. So yeah, I think that this is going to open up the doors. At the end of the day, I was talking with a few people about the Kyle Schwarber deal just for 1 second, is when you're looking at organizations of why you want to sign somewhere or extend, do you see the vision moving forward? And do you see that the team is going to put the resources in to help players accomplish what they want to do? Because what do players want? They want to secure their future with a contract, and they want to go win. And so when you looked at the teams in on Schwarber, if they were saying, the Phillies, the Pirates, the Reds, the Orioles, of those teams, only the Phillies had proven that they were going to go out there and spend. Now Baltimore is saying, hey, we're willing to do this now. We got the core, Westy, Gunner, Jackson. We want you here long term. And I do think that that's going to open up the avenue for them moving into 2026. But I know they still got to add a couple pieces here in free agency, and then we'll look towards next year to see what happens.
Yeah, talking about that. I mean, now it basically on the pitching. Like who do you think they trade for or trade out of to get a starting pitcher? I mean, Adley, Mountcastle. Like there's a bunch of guys that they can do it for. They need some starting pitching.
They certainly do. So I mean, if I don't think it's rocket science to say that the Orioles have a few guys that can play first base this year. And Pete Alonso is going to be taking up the majority of those reps because why? The dude just plays every single day. So if that's going to be the case, and you're looking at who else you have. Sam Basayo is going to get at bats at first and DH. Adley Rutschman, I don't think is going anywhere. I want to put that to rest. They need Adley, and Adley bounced back. I believe in that. But then you're looking at Mayo and Mountcastle, and Mountie, when I was in the organization playing, Mountie was the best bat I saw at the time coming through, just pure bat to ball skills. But he's lost some confidence and he's had trouble staying healthy. And he's also doesn't have the years of control that teams want. Then there's Hoby Mayo, and Hoby. I think he's going to hit. I think he's going to figure it out, but he's going to have to get at bat. So I think of the trade pieces, Mayo has more value when it comes to team control. So you heard the rumors about Edward Cabrera, Mackenzie Gore, guys that have team control and have that upside to be. Let's just say they're a third on a staff, but have an upside to be a one. Not going to go that far to say as a one, but they have the upside to. Kobe and a couple guys I could see happening. But the reality is something has to give. And I think what Mike Elias and the front office realized that last year they wanted to see with the crop of players that they had developed, who was going to be a part of their plan and who was going to take that next step. And the reality is, they might have gotten some of those questions answered, and others might be undefined, but they can't wait any longer. I think that's the bigger part. They need to win. Look at the rest of the AL East. It's a gauntlet. Toronto's window is wide open. The Red Sox and Yankees, they don't rebuild, they retool. And then the Rays are the team that they're just going to be a pain in the butt because they play the game hard and they find ways to stay competitive. So, it's to me, they're going to trade one of those guys, Mountie or Mayo. Wouldn't be surprised with either. And then they're going to go and get they're going to go out and sign a guy. I don't know. I see the tweet up there. Yeah, I truly believe like the AL East, and this is why I love the winter, right? This division, if you are for real, you got to go out there and spend. You got to go out there and make moves. So I for sure think Baltimore is at least going to make two more moves here before we get towards spring training. I mean, two big moves to be specific.
Does Pete need to be what they were going after Kyle Schwarber for? Kyle Schwarber, this amazing leader. He leads this clubhouse. He leads young guys. That's why the Reds wanted him. Does Pete need to be that in this clubhouse of young guys that are now kind of not that young and experienced? Like you said, it's time to go now. So does he need to be that, or does he just need to be 40 homers on a team that only had somebody that hit 17 was the highest?
Yeah, I mean, well, first thing is he's going to take the brunt of it, right? He's expected to post up. The ball's going to leave the ballpark early and often with him, and he's your RBI guy. And I've talked to a lot of people about this. I know some people say, hey, RBI it's a byproduct of where you are. Miss me with that. You're an RBI guy or you aren't. And Pete Alonso is an RBI guy. And what I said last year for the Orioles going into the season, because they had question marks on the pitching side, but they had this young talent. And the motto that I had was they go as far as their young core takes them. And they struggled. And now the pitching was tough, but the offense was supposed to be their strength, and it wasn't. So the addition of Pete Alonso, what it really does, take the pressure off these guys to develop still at the big league level. There's going to be stress and pressure, but you don't have to be the guy anymore. Right now, Pete Alonso is going to be one of those guys. Taylor Ward is going to be one of those guys. And then Gunnar Henderson can slot in and be that third for you. Oh, and by the way, Jordan Westberg, he looks ready to go. So I think the addition more than anything, it just takes the pressure off of the guys having to prove something while they're still trying to figure out how to be a big leaguer. I think that's something that people underestimate, is that you might have all the talent in the world, but when you have expectations that are on you, and not just expectations, like they're expecting you to be the reason why the Orioles win. Bring in Pete Alonso, bring in Taylor Ward, and then Gunnar and Westy. Well, then let those other guys like Cowser and Jackson and Adley get back on track. And this lineup can be really dangerous because of that.
All right. So what if they're losing games 8-7 because the rest of this offseason, like you just said, the American League East is gunning after some pitching. The American League East is gunning after the rest. You can't just continue to add to your position players if they don't add to the pitchers. You said they're going to add to the starting rotation, but I get that in $5, and I got $5 at the end of the offseason if it doesn't happen.
Well, I hear you. I see what you're trying to spin here, but I can say pretty confidently, they're not going to get burned twice. I would be shocked. And what I mean by that is last year they were trying to figure some things out. And I think one part that people are missing when new ownership comes in, some of it's hitting the ground running. Others is let's assess what we have and go from there. With what happened last year, it stung so deeply and it was deep rooted in Baltimore. Everything that Michael I said on his wish list has happened so far except starting pitcher. They will make another move. It's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. They will go get another guy. I think that they get two for all the reasons that they mentioned. And this is even for the long term of it. We're talking about building momentum. Baltimore, even with the down year last year, if we look in that division, they make a couple moves. Baltimore, just like Toronto, Boston, New York, they can win the AL East, and not only win the East, they could go to the World Series. So I think the urgency's there. And I think the best lesson is learning from the past. And I know that Mike Elias in the front office took a lot of heat last year. But one thing I want people to understand is there was a reflection period and going, I didn't do enough. I messed up. And his actions now have to speak louder. And so far, his actions are showing he's learned a lot. But when the deal's done, people will feel a lot better. But I know a move's coming, and I'm just curious on if I'm right on who it's going to be.
Uh-oh. Kratz. Well, Todd Father. I mean, you do your thing, but you're Todd Father. So can you pry a prediction out of him?
That was my next question. I was going to say, I said, this AL East is stacked. If people are going left and right, who's going to be the next team to get after, a Bellinger, Bregman? But yeah, I don't know. Give me something you think that might happen, unless you're trying to keep it hidden for Christmas.
No, what are you saying about for all teams here? Or just
give me your thoughts first, and then what do you think about the AL East? Who's going to be the next big gun going to a big team?
Just from understanding it, Toronto looks like they're going to land. They're either bringing back Bo, in my opinion, or Tucker, right? Because, talking to Mark Shapiro, president of operations, I remember last year I talked to him to begin spring or the season. And he said, we're a big market. I think people don't recognize that. And they've been in on guys. And then who's the first big pitcher to sign? It's Dylan Cease to Toronto. I would be shocked if they don't land Bichette or Tucker. But then I look at the Yankees. They need someone with Judge. They need someone. And Belly, I believe that I'm hearing the years in dispute. If they really like him and he's versatile, you make it work. And it's hardball right now, but that seems like a good fit there. And then there's Boston, where Bregman makes the most sense because it's comfortability. Could the trade market happen? You hear Marte, you hear names thrown out there. The Red Sox like to be strategical, but they need a big bat. Like I would like to say that those guys go where I expect them to, but if we're going off of what we just talked about and looking at the construction of the AL East, and if the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and Orioles want to be for real, you got to keep up. And those are the big names. The one I'm really curious about, though, of the free agents is what's going to happen with Framber Valdez. Talk about a guy that can tip how people feel. And I know with everything that happened in Houston down the stretch there, is that a worry? Is that a concern? If you're not concerned and he goes out and does his thing, he's the top arm still available. So I'm really curious, but that's my gut. I think that a lot of the big names stay in the AL East. I'd be shocked if they don't, because the Yankees, we've seen it. Aaron Judge is not human, but he needs help. So yeah, he needs help, and the Yankees already got an unbelievable pitching staff. So we'll see, and maybe off times we can talk more about some moves. But I'm expecting things to get buzzing here in the next few days.
You were kind of leading in, and I gotta ask. When you heard Robert Suarez signed, were you fearful that your possible prediction was a Suarez that wasn't going to the Orioles? Is that your prediction of who you think the Orioles are going to sign in Ranger Suarez?
Oh man. Well, I will say this. If we're looking at value and you're looking at just opportunity, what you get out of someone, risk, reward. I thought Ranger Suarez to Baltimore was as great of an opportunity, because here's the reason. When you look at the other guys, like if you're looking at Zach Gallen, you're looking at Framber Valdez, you're looking at any of those other pitchers, they probably got better overall stuff. Ranger Suarez knows how to pitch, and he knows how to pitch in big games. And for the Orioles, you need consistency overall. So I just thought it was a best fit. But then you wonder, if Mackenzie Gore becomes available, do the Nats and Orioles make the first trade in the history between the two teams? Perhaps, but for the Orioles, what I think they need is dependability and consistency. The two guys that fit that mold right now are either Framber or Ranger, and Ranger's going to be the cheaper option. So I just think it makes a lot of sense with Ranger Suarez and whoever it is. Having Kyle Bradish back, I think people don't realize how good Bradish is. He was my one teammate where I watched him and said, "Thank goodness I never have to face you in the minors." And then Trevor Rogers, if he's 70% of what he was factored in with one of these guys, Baltimore Orioles staff is going to look really good.
Okay. I know what Kratz wants to do. He wants to spend Baltimore's money, right? But I'm going to try and be the middleman here and be realistic for my final question. I'm with you. One starter from the market. Two, I don't think is very realistic. Like, are they going to get Ranger Suarez and Framber Valdez or Tatsuya Imai, right? I think one of those guys goes to Baltimore. But Ryan, for me, I still need another, ideally, top-end guy, a 1, 2, or 3, a guy that can pitch in a playoff game for them. And I do think, you mentioned Gore, that's a good name. I still think they might be able to pry away someone like Freddie Peralta for the right package. So who do you think contains the most value that they can afford to lose? Is it Hoby Milner? Is his value still high enough that they can swing a deal for 1 year of Freddie and maybe, an A-ball or a more of a high ceiling, low level prospect? They've done business like that before, right? They did Joey Ortiz and DL Hall, and I think a comp pick for Corbin Burns, and that actually worked out really well for them. I know they didn't win a playoff game that year, but it wasn't Corbin's fault.
For sure, yeah. Burns was shoving. In the playoffs, I think the Orioles pitching staff allowed 3 runs in that game, and the Royals walked out with that series win. That's a sensitive spot, so we'll move past that. But overall, Freddie Peralta, great pitcher. But I think for the Orioles, if you trade for Freddie, you want to find a way to extend him this time, letting Corbin go, which, Corbin wanted to go to Arizona. Players have their own priorities, and it made sense. But I think for the Orioles, if you get Peralta, you would have to extend him. Guys with team control, that seems more of the option. But when you're saying about who's the most valuable, I think it depends on how you view Hoby Milner, because he's big league ready. He needs at bats. So Hoby right now would probably have the most value. And then the Orioles just got a ton of pitching prospects over the last trade deadline here, right? So they could package some things together depending on the team that they're talking to. So the Brewers, Hoby Milner could be enticing, and it doesn't have to take as much. But if you're talking about the Nats, for instance, for Gore, hypothetically, they're in a little bit more of a rebuild. So if they do that, they might want some of those young, appealing arms that are maybe a year or two away, but still want a headline with a big bet. So I think the answer for me, Hoby Milner still has the most value, but it's just to be determined on what they do. I think Mountcastle, while I believe Mountie can bounce back in the right situation, he's not going to be under contract for much longer. So, yeah, I think that's the need. But Peralta, only if you extend him. I think elsewhere would make more sense for Baltimore, at least for what I've mentioned so far.
Right, good stuff. I love your insight. And you know how the baseball world works. Whenever you're away or something else is going on in life, that's when everything will happen. It's always how it works, dude. The amount of times, like, we're on air for hours and hours, and then it's Saturday night at 11:30 p.m., and an agent smartly connects with an owner who's having a cocktail or two, and they get the job done. It's just the way it works.
Scott, I'm about to be on a plane in about a couple hours here. There will be a move while I'm in the air, and I'm going, this is fantastic. With that, hey, the baseball world don't sleep, but it's fun. But I appreciate you guys. And Scott, we'll have more time to catch up next time when we're not running around in the future. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. And one more plug at the back end here for everyone. Ryan does this all the time. So check it out on YouTube, on his socials, Ryan Ripken Show. Super easy to find. He knows what he's talking about here with the O's. Super dialed in. Thanks again, Ryan, and safe travels.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, we got a packed show today. While we have a moment, we want to shout out the Playmakers Classic. We talk about it early because you need to plan your trips. Also keep in mind, spring training is going to ramp up sooner this year due to the World Baseball Classic starting at the beginning of March. So when you see February 18th, that's a good week to plan a trip to Arizona to do a little spring training hop around and check out also some of the star players before they head out for the World Baseball Classic. What you should also do is stop by the 4th Annual Playmakers Classic, all for a super good cause, playerstrust.org. Tons of current players that are going to be there. We're working on our trip and our plans to be announced pretty soon. Kratz, you've been there before. Give us your best.
I mean, I say the exact same thing over and over again when we talk about this, but it's because it's really a no-brainer, especially when we're coming up to the holiday season here. Give this gift to somebody who wants to have an experience, not another trinket that you're going to get rid of in 3 years and be like, oh, I thought you liked that back massager you gave me. No, I thought you had a great time when you went to the Playmakers Classic when all the big leaguers hang out. They're hanging out. They're not just like at a booth going, okay, yeah, here, I'll sign this. Like, no, they're just hanging out. They're having drinks. They're playing games. They're listening to music. Like, it's an awesome opportunity. Nobody's like, no players are freaking out yet because it's the beginning of spring training. They're just like, I like dressing up, going to a fun party, and that's what you get when you buy a ticket to the Playmakers.
Yeah, it's the most access you can get to spend time in a casual setting with just a number of current and former players. So make sure you check it out. QR code on the screen, and it's all going to players' charities and a great cause. That's what the Players Trust and the Playmakers Classic is all about. It's why it means a lot to us as well. Hey, Jim Salisbury is here. We're going right to the Phillies, and the Philly show star, Jim, is here because this week I think you were the Philly show star. Yeah, I'm saying it, Kratz. I mean, I can't say it the entire year. I have to be fair and nice to all of the different kids, right? You can't pick your favorite kid, but this week I can, Jim, and here's why. You had your little bus prop situation going on with Kyle Schwarber, and it landed perfectly. If you want to start off the conversation that way, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you, Scott? I got a new prop today. This is for Erik Kratz to make him feel at home.
Look
Oh,
at
yeah.
you. Look
Wawa
at you.
sip.
Can't beat it.
How are you guys?
We're good.
Good.
So tell us about what you did with Schwarber, though. I think that people would like it, and they might want to click over there to see what you did the episode right before the Schwarber signing, and then, of course, mix in how you guys felt this was coming.
Yeah, you could feel it coming. Honestly, I could feel it coming in July. This guy, he's just been such a success story in Philadelphia, from his performance on the field to his impact in the clubhouse to his impact in the community and the way the fans embrace him. And knowing the owner, John Middleton, and the way he operates and the way he listens to his customers, his fan base, I didn't see any way they were going to let this guy get away. I know he's going to play at 33 next year, but he doesn't play defense, so he's not going to lose a step. If you go on the advanced metrics and look at his bat speed, it is elite. And the way he takes care of himself, it should remain top notch, if not elite, throughout the life of this 5-year contract. He's an improving hitter as well. I mean, he had that non-tender year out of the Cubs a few years ago. It's been, I guess, 5 years now, and he's just gotten better and better. So, like I said, you could just feel it going that way. I think it was he owed it to himself to listen, and we heard some of the teams that were in it. And I think it was very telling that, Baltimore seriously in it, Pittsburgh in it, Cincinnati in it. All teams stocked with young players. All teams looking for that winning know-how. And Kyle Schwarber, in addition to being a great productive power hitter, is great with young players. He's like everybody's big brother in that room, and he's a winner. 10 out of 11 years to the postseason. He can, help bring a winning intangible to your room. So I thought it was it was a testament to a lot of the intangibles that those teams were in it. And and you could feel it coming. You knew he wanted to get it over with. He had a baby coming in mid-December. He's a family man. He wants to be Santa Claus. You knew it was going to end before the middle of December. So I had that little, I don't know if you can see it behind me, there's a little bus. So I brought the bus on and said, the Schwarber bus is about to pull into town. So
all right, you had Joe Giglio on the show, WIP legend Joe, and he said, but they got to change this up. They got to change this up. Okay, Phillies brought Kyle Schwarber back. Phillies need a starting catcher. Probably going to bring JT Realmuto back. Is Schwarber signing signifying that the Phillies are just going to run it back, and guys like Scott Braun think the Phillies are just a regular season team and can never get over the hump in the postseason?
Facts.
Well, it's been an awfully good regular season team. They haven't gotten over the postseason hump yet. But all it takes is putting together, a good 3 weeks, and you can do it. I don't put it past this team to get hot. I think this team puts enormous pressure on itself in October because of the star power on the roster, because they haven't won a World Series in a good long time, because of the huge payroll they carry, just because of the town. This town just, demands winners. So they've put a lot of pressure on themselves in the last 3 Octobers. 2022, they were playing with house money. They played loose. They got to Game 6 of the World Series. After that, they're clenching those bat handles. They need to take a deep breath and just let it all out and perform well in October. And I do believe they're going to get another chance in 2026. When you look at this nucleus, when you look at this pitching staff, when you look at the players they have, I think they're going to be back there and give it another shot. In terms of running it back, I mean, that's a very popular topic here in Philadelphia. A lot of people are against it, but I'm not letting Kyle Schwarber walk. All that production, all that impact. And, who's going to handle this excellent pitching staff? JT Realmuto is going to do it, in my mind. They have an offer out to him. I believe it's probably a 2-year offer. I believe he probably wants more than that, but all along, I have felt he's going to come back as well. So you got a 96-win team. I think there is some merit to bringing back these guys, a lot of merit to bringing back these guys. And if you want to change the mix, there are other little corners of the roster that you can do that. But both these guys, to me, were priorities to bring back because, I don't see anybody replacing Realmuto. He's vital. And Kyle Schwarber, what he does to that lineup in that clubhouse, vital as well. So with Schwarber coming back, I think the offseason's actually off to a pretty good start. And if they get to October and finally put it together, nobody's going to complain about running it back.
Let me ask you this. I was going to talk about JT a little bit. You're talking about them talking in the works about getting these 2 years, or has that happened? I just kind of misheard what you said there. That's all.
Yeah, they have an offer out to him, and I don't know what the offer is. I mean, they haven't disclosed. They have not disclosed that, nor would they. Yeah. I tend to believe it. It's probably somewhere in probably 2 years, and I think he's going to want 3. And we know how this game is kind of gone. They wanted to do a 4-year deal for Schwarber. In the end, you give him the 5th, get him off the market. If you can get 4 good ones, to me, it's worth it. I think JT, they'd like to do 2, but if they have to go 3 to get him in the off the market, maybe they end up doing it. And if you get 2, it's worth it. That you see all over the game, guys get these extra years nowadays. So we'll see. I still feel like JT's going to come back here. He has a residence in Clearwater. He likes being a Philly. He's been here, 6 years. Very, very popular, very close to Schwarber. I think that, could signal or at least help in him coming back as well. Zach Wheeler, who pretty good pitcher, carries a lot of weight, a man of few words. He has openly stumped for them to bring back JT. Openly talked about how important he is to that pitching staff. Pitchers love him. Pitchers want him back. I'd be surprised if he's not back.
Let me talk about another guy, too. That was really good stuff right there. I agree with you totally. I mean, why not finish it off here a little bit? Nick Castellanos, what is the word on him? Any rumors? We know about all the little stuff that happened at the end of the year, him and Topper a little bit. So can you talk briefly about, what you got going on with him and what you've heard?
Yeah, no rumors really, because they've been, open in acknowledging that they would like to provide him with a change of scenery. And they've been so open with that and so firm with that. I expect it to come in the form of a trade or a release. So I would be very surprised if he's in spring training. In fact, I'd be stunned. I think they're very committed to moving on from him and giving him that change of scenery. I mean, I don't think you can bring him to – it's become such a public topic that I don't see how they can come to spring training with him, because you got to get the guys you're going to go to battle with ready. You got to get them the at-bats. I don't see how they can get him the playing time in spring training. So, I think once this outfield market maybe shakes out a little bit more and clears up, kind of like the musical chairs, who's ever got that last chair remaining and needs an outfielder who's had very good years. He can be productive when he's on. And I'm sure I know the Phillies would eat a significant portion of that salary. He's owed $20 million, but he'll be somewhere else. They've been too open with it, like I said, to not follow through on it.
All right, Jim, I think the one area that Dombrowski fell short last year, even in the offseason, but then with Jose Alvarado's positive steroid test, was the bullpen. Does Dombrowski make the same mistake and not bring in a power-packed bullpen? I know I heard rumors that possibly Strahm was on the move to get something done elsewhere, but I don't see how you take away from an area that essentially, in my mind, collectively is the only area of the team that lost the series to the Dodgers. Starting pitching, outpitched the Dodgers. The lineup, for the most part, neither team hit, but out-hit the Dodgers. But the bullpen, not just Kerkering, but the bullpen didn't hold on to the leads that they had. Does he address that in a big name like a Pete Fairbanks? Because all the other big names are off the board as of today, this morning, with Robert Suarez signing.
Yeah, I agree with you. The way they addressed it last winter did not pay dividends. I thought they did a heck of a job, though, making up for it at the trade deadline with Johan Duran coming on board. But they would like to address that setup area. And I think one of the reasons you hear Strahm as a possibility that could be moved is him being a left-hander. They feel like with Alvarado and Banks, they have some left-handed depth. Maybe if they would have moved Strahm, free up a little bit of payroll. I think he's owed $7.5. You could use that to go after a right-hander, somebody you could use, seventh and eighth inning from the right side, somebody who's tough on right-handers. So that is something they would like to do and have their eyes open toward. And I'd be surprised if they don't address that bullpen. They've already started tweaking around the edges. They made a small trade with Tampa Bay yesterday, getting a big hard thrower. And, he's going to have a shot at making the team. And, the Tampa Bay ran into a numbers crunch. His name is Eugenio Suarez. And, hey, if it works out the way the last two trades with Tampa Bay went, it'll be a pretty good one because they got Alvarado and a guy named Christopher Sanchez. And Sanchez was a numbers crunch in Tampa Bay as well. So that would be, they're going to take a look at him. They also got a Rule 5 kid they're going to take a look at. But they would like to keep moving on that bullpen, somebody who can be kind of tough on right-handers. So that's definitely an area they'll keep an eye on. And a guy like Fairbanks would make a lot of sense, depending on, where they are budget-wise. But most of their expenditure is going to be on Schwarber and Real Muto if they get that to the finish line. to do more, they might have to shed some payroll. Alec Bohm maybe, Strom maybe, and then all of a sudden now you could be in play for some more setup from the right side. But I do agree with you. That's something they need and something they're going to work on.
All right. There's a national show, not just a local Phillies show. I got to ask you, rank the 3 young studs that are in the minor leagues for the Phillies and their impact on the team, being Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter, and Aiden Miller, and what kind of impact they're going to have in 2026 on this team.
I think we could see Crawford right out of the gate. Possibly he could make the team and be in left field. He's a lot of speed. Hits 325, 330 at every level. The knock on him is hits the ball on the ground a lot. They'd like to see him get a little more, drive the ball a little bit more and get it in the air a little bit more. But good looking talent, former first round pick. Aiden Miller, shortstop, third baseman, mostly a shortstop. They think he can stick there, but obviously they have Trey Turner. So maybe he ends up at third base someday with Alec Bohm becoming a free agent after next season, after 26. Kind of a total package player. Stole 50 bags in the minor leagues. Can hit, developing power, great amateur pedigree. And then you got Painter, who, has had a comp of, comps are very, very dangerous. You guys know that. But some people think he reminds them of a young Justin Verlander. Tommy John surgery a couple years ago, slow coming back in 2025, but big 6'6", 6'7", power, slider, changeup, has the ability to be a front end number 1 starter. So I'm going to say all 3 of them impact this team in the near future. Painter and Crawford in 26, maybe Miller in 27, and the biggest impact of all probably, I believe in starting pitching, and I believe this guy can be an ace, can be number 1, probably Painter, and then Miller I think can be, they think he could be an all-star player. I think those are their 2 untouchables in terms of trade talk, Painter and Miller. I think, they listen at times on Crawford, but, they need to get some young people in here. You talk about changing the mix and all that stuff. Some of that change is going to come from within. They got an aging roster. A lot of all the stars are north of 30, and maybe even in a lot of cases significantly. They're 33 and 34. Wheeler's going to pitch at 36 next year. Real Muto's going to be 34, I believe. So they need to get some youth in here, and Miller, Painter, and Crawford are a good place to start. Really eager to see what they look like in 26, and like I said, I think we'll see Painter in that rotation. They need him in the rotation. They're going to watch his innings. I don't know if he's going to be there in April, but he's going to carry a significant load for this team. He needs to. They really need him to. And Crawford as well in the outfield, and then Miller not far behind. He'll go to AAA, and they'll get a better gauge on his trajectory.
Jim, quick one. The picture behind you, is that Jake Diekman? The picture that's behind you at the top, is that Jake Diekman in the picture?
That's Billy Wagner.
Really? Okay.
So that's when
big long glove. That's what I was thinking of. So that's an old picture.
That's 20 years ago, Kratzy. And that's me in the picture. And I caught one of his bullpen sessions in Clearwater and wrote a story about it. So it was quite a thrill, and he let it out. It was so that's the story that was that I wrote in the Philadelphia Inquirer about catching Billy Wagner's bullpen session. It was very illuminating, and I had to sign a waiver. And in the second sentence of the waiver, the word "death" appeared.
You still signed it though. Look at you. Look. You're reckless.
Anything for the readers. You know that? Anything for the readers.
Anything for a good story. I also like how he threw a Diekman at you, and hey, he could sling it back in the day, but Billy Wagner's a little bit of an upgrade.
Jake Diekman, one of the great stories of player development in my mind. He was at Low A in Lakewood. Good pitcher's body, obviously, throwing right over the top and wasn't getting anybody out for like 3 years. And the pitching coach over there in Lakewood was Bob Milacki. And went up to him one day and said, Jake, we want you to really drop down and almost like scrape the mound when you're delivering the ball. It was either that or get released. He just wasn't getting people out. So they put him on the phantom disabled list, and they bullpenned him for 2 weeks with a new submarine delivery, getting way down there, and it unlocked a little more velocity and deception. And he went on and made an awful lot of money and had a terrific career. So that's what creativity and player development testament.
They sent him to the fall league too. And I'm blanking on the catcher that told me the story. It was a catcher from another team. And they said, yeah, we really don't know what this guy's got. He's changing his arm angle. And the dude said his first 3 pitches in warmup were 97, 98, and 99. And they go, he looks over at the dugout in the fall league. You don't know these guys. He looks over the dugout and the guy goes, the manager for the fall league team goes, he used to be 93 to 95. I don't know. So yeah, he dropped his arm slide. I love that story. Diekman, incredible athlete, owns all the records for all the testing in the Phillies minor leagues, big leagues, broad jump, high jump, all that stuff, and hits a golf ball a country mile.
I bet he does. And he was this close. He'll tell you he was this close to getting released. It was like this last-ditch effort, and he said, I'll give it a try, and look what it did for him.
Hey, Jim, you got to get Erik Kratz on the Phillies show one time, all right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that invite and to listen to that episode. So just throwing that out there on the way out, okay? It's good to see you, but I need more of that. I need that for an hour. If that's possible, I know you talk to your people, see what happens, but let's make it happen.
My people. Ruben and Todd. We would love to have Kratzy on. That would be
only if Ruben's not on. Only if Ruben's not on.
Done. Easy.
Well, there's actually a good chance he'll be on the golf course, so we could probably
Kratz for a day with Todd and Jim. I love it. Jim, good to see you. Happy holidays.
Hey, thank you guys. Thanks for having me, and happy holidays to you guys.
Thank you. And for everyone else, the Phillies show, super, super popular. Dialed in on the Phillies, part of the Foul Territory Network. It's fantastic. Multiple episodes per week, covering everything going on with the Phils in the offseason. Then, of course, during the season, covering all of that. Quick break. Got a lot to do, including Todd Father's thoughts on his buddy Pete moving on to Baltimore. Todd Father, Pete Alonso earned his nickname the Polar Bear by being friends with you. Let's just be real about it. You gave him the nickname, and now he's in Baltimore. It's a little bit warmer down in Baltimore compared to New York, a little bit tougher for a polar bear, but maybe easier for a polar bear with less of the New York heat and a team that was super disappointing. He goes to a different team in Baltimore that was disappointing this past season. But hey, you were on top of the Orioles as much as anyone, Todd Father. You were like, this is not a playoff team. You said that a year ago. What do you think about Pete's departure? Take me through all of this since you know Pete quite well.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm first going to say here, once the news broke, I had to text my son. He's a monster Mets fan. And I said, Blake, I said, I'm very sorry your favorite player just got traded. And he said, what was the exact words are? Fake news, fake news, fake news. And I said, no, bud. I said, he's gone and he's going to the Orioles. And didn't get a text back. So I told my wife, I said, please text Blake and make sure he's okay. So he's doing better now. I got so many messages and calls about it. I had a baseball practice that night. People were talking about it left and right. We need a new team, this and that. The fans aren't happy. I know that. I know that. I know the fans are disgusted with Stearns and trying to figure out what the heck is their next move. I don't know what their next move is, but I am very happy for Pete Alonso. I couldn't be more happier for the guy because of what he went through the last couple of years. He deserved more in New York. He did. He deserved a big contract there. They should have gave it to him. He was an absolute stud. He's always been dominant. He's always had a lot of home runs. He's been around the block, 100 RBI guy each and every year. He does stuff around the city. He does a lot of charity work. He helps out kids with special needs. He, gives money to, the 9/11 victims. He's done so much for that city, and for him, not to get a big contract and stay there for the rest of his career, I think that's pretty sad. But at the same time, knowing Pete, I'm very excited for him. He's got a new venture going on. It's very hard to stay with one team your whole life nowadays, especially the way it is. We can't have all be Joey Vottos of the world. It's so hard to do. And for him to go there, he can actually breathe a little bit and enjoy the game of baseball and not worry about anything else. Happy for him, man. Good for him.
Do you feel like he was offended by the Mets? Not just this go-round, but even last go-round, where the Mets are like, we don't think you're going to get much in the market. We have a certain value on you. And so it ends up being that essentially 1-year contract. It was the longer deal with the opt-out, and he opts out, of course. And then this time around, they didn't make an offer. And there's more to the story there. It's not like they wouldn't have brought him back, but they were only bringing him back at a certain price. They clearly looked at him and said, hey, at your age, your skill set, your best skill set by far is your power. Nobody is disputing that. He's not the fastest dude in town. There's disputes about his defensive value, but he's not an elite defender. I think that's fair to say either. So they're like, we don't see this working out well where we're just relying on pop. And it's funny that Ryan Ripken brought up Chris Davis, who had that one tool, and eventually it didn't work out for him. There are others like Kyle Schwarber, who's 2 years older than Pete, who lives and dies off walks and pop, right? He doesn't even play defense, and it's working out pretty damn well for him. I tend to think that eventually Pete will transition off of first during the length of this contract and still hold that value as a guy who can hit 40 homers. They don't have Mount Baltimore there anymore, so it's a little bit easier, right, to be able to tackle Baltimore. It's actually a better hitter's park in Baltimore than it is in New York, so I think those numbers could tick up. Anyway, back to what I said. Do you think he's offended? I mean, he's the all-time home run leader for the Mets, and they didn't really want him back.
Yeah, my opinion only, I think he was. I think he was a little pissed off. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. You see all these guys getting these big contracts. He deserved it just as much as anybody else did. I mean, and people always go back to the defense. I don't think he's even that. People go by numbers and he can't get to this ball, that, but I don't think he's that bad of a defender either. I think he's worked his butt off. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the best first basemen at picking balls out of the dirt the last couple of years. The guy works his butt off at first base, and this Baltimore Orioles team should be ecstatic because he's going to work his rear end off. He's going to get after it, and he's going to absolutely mash balls to every part of that park. And he's not going to care what the Mets do. It's not that term now. It's not, oh, yeah, I'm doing this because of the Mets. No, he's over with. He got his deal. He got everything he needs now, and he can just chill out. New York is a tough place to play out, and he took it by storm and did excellent there. And to not bring a guy like him back, there's something else going on, and we might never hear about it, but there's something else that, why wouldn't you sign this guy to a big deal last year? I still don't understand it. So that's something that they're going to have to live with. I don't think they care. I really don't think they care that they don't have him. They've said it before. If it doesn't work out like this, good riddance pretty much. And I think that's a shame.
Todd, for me, the Mets were like, hey, this was a disaster result. We did not make the playoffs. We need to switch things up. My question is, why these guys? Your best reliever by far, who's been consistently reliable, your consistently reliable power hitter, and Nimmo's a consistently reliable guy who gets on base. And I know the defense isn't supreme, the arm's not great, the range is fine. So for me, I'm just looking at these guys like, why them? Just because they're hitting free agency, and I guess there was a taker for Brandon Nimmo. What are your thoughts on the way that they're trying to change the complexion of the team? I'm all for making some changes to the lineup. It's why I'm critical of even a team like the Phillies, Todd Father. I just think when you have super disappointing results in the playoffs back-to-back years, I want to just see a little difference in the lineup. And maybe I'm wrong there. I'm looking at this more as a fan.
No.
But all these guys personally. Yeah. Like, were these the guys to switch it up with, or should they be looking in other directions in terms of who they were going to let loose?
And I'm confused too. You signed Juan Soto to this monster deal, all in. We're all in. And now, Nimmo, Edwin Diaz, and I know the couple were free agents. I get it. But that should have been your top priority, getting those guys back. There's not that many guys out there that have the ability of what Pete Alonso can do to a baseball game. Edwin Diaz, one of the best closers that we've seen in our generation. He's filthy. He's so hard to hit. Yeah, he's been through his bumps, but guess what? That guy's been very, very good. Brandon Nimmo, the guy is solid. He's solid as all can be. Those are 3 top guys that any team would take in a heartbeat. And just because you didn't make the playoffs, you had this catastrophic fall. Okay. Fall. Listen, it happens. That's baseball. You're professional baseball players. You're playing against professional teams that are very good at what they do. Come on, man. I just don't get it. That should have been your top priority. Trading Brandon Nimmo was weird. I didn't understand that one at all. And I think Jeff McNeil is the next one that's going to go. Love Jeff. I mean, he's a 300 hitter. He led the league one year in batting average. All right, now you're not all in. Now what are you going to do? What is the next step for the Mets? There's not that many out there. And guess what? Those guys got to say, you know what? I'll come there. But who would want to go there now knowing what they do? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I'm with you. I think McNeil's going to go, at least for now, the way that they're looking at first base. We'll throw this out here from Tim Healy. He joined us on yesterday's show. You can check out yesterday's show for more on Tim Healy's thoughts because he covered this team for a long time. And then he just recently switched over to the Red Sox beat. But he said the Mets always seemed lukewarm at best about bringing back Pete this offseason. One first base solution they floated internally, a platoon of Jeff McNeil, who can play everywhere, and free agent Paul Goldschmidt. Kratz Mets fans did not take kindly to that backup plan. And Steve Cohen is already on the record, and I give him credit. He always comes out there and says something or tweets something, and he's like, offseason is young, my friends. I think they're going to do a lot. I think the plan for them was, we're just going to do a lot differently. We're still going to spend a lot. It's just going to look different. So in your mind, Kratz, what does that look like? I do like that he came out, right? Owner comes out and says, we're not just shedding players and shedding salary. We're just switching things up. So stay tuned. For me, I think that means they signed someone like a Tatsuya Amai, a Framber Valdez. Maybe they're going after Ranger Suarez, who has pitched really well within the division. And then on the offensive side, I mean, they need an outfielder. Are they in play for Cody Bellinger? Is that the right fit? Could they be in play for Alex Bregman to handle third base? I know that they like Beatty, but obviously Alex Bregman is a better player and can make a different type of impact internally with a team. Akamoto, I really like. I think he's going to be a really good player in the bigs. So help me fill in the blanks here, knowing that the team is clearly willing to spend.
I'm as confused as you are, as confused as Mets fans are. And my thing is, I don't really care how you replace Pete Alonso because it's not going to happen. You can't replace 40 home runs. You cannot replace somebody that will give you 40 home runs. Devin Williams, in his best year, didn't have as many saves as what Edwin Diaz had last year. So they can't try to play catch up in that sense. But what they can do is understand they still have Francisco Lindor. I think Mark Vientos is an above average hitter. Maybe not at third base. Maybe a combination of Vientos at first, Beatty at third, gives them a nice youthful corner infields that grow together, guys with a lot of potential. But ultimately, I think the lineup, and I know this might be crazy saying you lost Pete Alonso, the lineup might be fine. The lineup still might be fine. They're going to add I think they're still going to add another big bat. That's where I'm not worried about. If they brought Diaz back, if they brought Pete Alonso back, it wouldn't matter if they don't do something about the starting pitching. The reason they're not in the playoffs, if they're changing everything up, is because they weren't in the playoffs. The reason that happened is because they did not get starting pitching last year. Nolan McLean is not the answer. I mean, he's going to be a great big league pitcher. He is not enough. He is not, saved all of our issues. Those are pieces. McLean, Peterson. I think Sean Manaea can give you something. I know it faded at the end, but you still have him there. He had a good run in 24. It has to start with starting pitching. I don't care about replacing those other guys. It has to start with starting pitching. And it has to be big, and it has to be multiple starting pitchers.
What do you think about Wilson Contreras to fill in for Pete Alonso? I love it. I said before the show, Todd Father to Kratz, that it was like at the tip of my tongue. And the only thing that held me back was something that's kind of dumb. Wilson Contreras can be explosive on the field and kind of get into it with teams, whatever. I don't really care. I don't know why I thought about that, where it's like, oh, the Mets need a new mix. Maybe Wilson Contreras brings fire. I mean, he seems like a perfect fit. He had a really good offensive year. Dude knows how to get on base. He's got pop, and he learned first base really well. He graded out as one of the better first basemen defensively in his first year on the job. We spoke to Ali Marmol about it, and he said he took to the position so well. They had Alec Burleson as a backup option, and they were like, we were worried just in case it doesn't work out and we got to mostly DH Wilson. They didn't need to. He took to it well. You're shaking your head. He doesn't cost a lot. Yeah. I'm not saying this is the only solution. I'm just saying that is a much more attractive solution to me than Paul Goldschmidt and Jeff McNeil handling a platoon at first. Wilson Contreras is a legit bat. It's not Pete Pop, but that's a guy who's going to be a well above average offensive player, and he should be a better defender.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I just think New York is a different beast. I'm not saying he couldn't handle it, but that one time he makes any little mistake and they get on him in the news, or the press after the game presses him about a certain situation. I don't know. It's just not for everybody. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good fit, but I just feel like, seeing, he's a fireball, brother, and you don't know what he's going to do. I'm not saying he couldn't do good, but he's not putting up the numbers like Pete Alonso does. So that's where it's hard for me to say yes to that. But I also agree with what you're saying. It would be a fixture for sure.
I mean, it definitely, it'd be better than McNeil and Paul Goldschmidt. I 100% agree with that. And I love to put this to rest. For Orioles fans, for Mets fans, Pete stinks at first base. First baseman's outs above average, defensive WAR is all dictated on your positioning. The Mets play at what's called a predominant shift for the first baseman. So he is going as far to his right as possible and never takes a step to his right. Guys in history who have the better defensive metrics at first base are allowed to shift, because all your outs above average is just dictated on where you start and where the ball is hit. If you never go one direction, then you're never going to get points that direction, and you're going to be dinged because there's not many outs above average that you can get at first base. So Pete is not an awful first baseman. He's average. Wilson is athletic. And the only issue I have is I don't think the Mets said, you know what, we're not going to sign Pete because we can get Wilson Contreras. I have an issue with the next step to replace Pete if they already had their answer out there. You don't know that you're getting Wilson, or maybe they did know they would be getting Wilson Contreras, but it hasn't happened yet. So you can't say, you know what, we'll just find it. We'll figure it out. Pete had a 150 OPS plus and Wilson had a 127. That's totally fine. I think you need a plan when you're talking about a player like Pete to replace in your lineup.
Okay. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being Contreras or Okamoto for first, and both of them should please the David Stern's concern of defense and age. Whether you guys agree with it or not, I'm just presenting what clearly is in the mind of the decision maker in the front office. And then it could still be a Bellinger, a Bregman, who knows, maybe even a Kyle Tucker. They could sneak in and say, hey, you know what? We really like this guy. He fits more of the mold of what David Stearns likes, all-around player. Age fits what they're looking for. Let's just have a $1.5 billion outfield.
But they got to want to go there too. And I think one of the biggest factors is money. If they're going to put big money on the table, they'll go there. But if it's between a couple other teams with all the craziness going on over there, I don't see it, in my opinion.
Starting pitching. That's it. Yep. I don't care if you get Bellinger. Bellinger can play center field for him. Yeah. Fills that hole. He can play first base, fills that hole. Starting pitching does not matter. You need starting pitching, or else it's a failed offseason no matter who you get rid of or who you bring in.
They're going to get starting pitching. That's the one part that I'm not worried about. You don't think they're going to end up with one of the guys that they can just buy on the free agent market, starting pitching wise? You don't think they're going to end up with one of the 4 to 5 available?
But who's to say? You have to prove it. You can't just be like, oh yeah, you know what? That Tiger stripes are always, he's definitely going to go to a 5-year deal, a 7-year deal for a starting pitcher that's out there. He hasn't even come close.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I haven't thought about
He's
that,
averse.
even though I talk about it all the time. Yeah. You're right, Kratz. You're right on that one. How many years is he going to go? That's the internal battle. How many years is he going to go on a starter? And if not, you have to trade for one. And then it's going to cost you some prospect capital. You know what's funny is they need to do what Baltimore does. I think they need 2. Not everyone's going to get 2 starters they feel good about in the rotation, but they do. They do need 2. Yeah. It's a team that has a lot of work to do. The indication is be patient, but they're going to do a lot. So let's see. It's only December 11th. Some people don't realize the winter meetings have no deadline. The teams do not give a crap about leaving the winter meetings. What are you calling?
Just like in poker, I call the Mets. Call whatever you're going to do. Let's see what you got.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
Good luck.
They got plenty of time.
Gotta want to go there. Gotta want to go there. That's my biggest problem. You gotta want to go to these places.
Let's get to a quickie signing that we'll throw out there before our next guest. Hoby Milner, 1 year, $3.75 million, Chicago Cubs. Kratz, did you run across him? Because didn't you? I guess it was Milwaukee after you were there. But anyway, very unique pitcher. But he had a great year, and the Cubs are rebuilding their bullpen back up. So I'll take it. I'm all for different looks. I like the variety out of the pen.
Oh yeah, I faced him in the minor leagues when he was coming up. Phillies, kind of just a funky look, a different look from the left side, and he's created himself a nice career. I didn't realize he was a free agent already, but I think his value will be in how he's used, in the sense of you can't overuse him, and it's not just a lefty situation. He's able to get outs against certain types of hitters because of the action and the look on his ball. A lefty coming from this way doesn't have high velo, but has done it for a long time, and he's one of those lefty has a pulse and will travel. I was surprised to see that I know WAR isn't everything, especially for relief pitchers, but I was surprised to see that his strikeouts were as high as they were. I mean, 58 strikeouts. I'm sorry, as low as they were, 58 strikeouts in 70 innings. But he goes out there and posts, and he's going to be a piece to that bullpen for him.
Yeah, he keeps the walks down, and he gets weak contact. He gave 70 innings of work last year and ends up getting himself a nice little paycheck. Cubs bullpen, they lost a lot of guys, and they traded away Kittredge again, but you got Palencia. They signed Maton. I think Porter Hodge has a high ceiling. You got Milner in there. Ben Braun, if he's sticking in the bullpen. There's enough going on. I mean, hopefully, if you're a Cubs fan, Assad is more of a bullpen guy and a swingman to fill in for starts. So he's there. Luke Little. It's starting to come together where it's looking pretty good. And everyone knows what the Cubs should be doing next. And that's also focusing on starting pitching. Quickie break. Just give us seconds. And then Jeff Francoeur is joining us. Hey, there he is. Frenchie's in the mix, and he's joining us as part of Pure Athlete. So they just launched PA Plus Baseball, a membership platform with hundreds of micro lessons from some of baseball's best minds to help players and coaches go further, faster. Give us the goods on that first, Frenchie. And then we of course, knew that the Braves were going to make all these moves in the past 12 hours. So we lined this up days ago, and it just happened to fall into our lap. But anyway, how you doing, man? And yeah, give us the goods on the new platform.
Well, I'll tell you this. You want to talk about subscribing and value? Not having AJ on this show today, this show just shot way up. Like, the value of this show just went through the roof without AJ on it. So let's just call it like it is.
I'm in a seat.
It's good to be with y'all. No, I've been doing this podcast, Pure Athlete, for 3 years, and we've done all sorts of sports, different things, and it's like, what's my bread and butter? What do we all know the most, right? And it's baseball. And so, coaching all my kids now, seeing my older brother, travel teams, it's like, how can you come beside, help these kids, help these parents navigate, whether your kid's going to be a first round pick, right? Or whether your kid wants to play D3 in college or just play high school ball. Like, we've talked to some great guys, some great coaches in college, different big time travel programs, and just trying to help parents, right, figure out and navigate this crazy journey that gets crazier and crazier every year with more teams, more players. And I'll be honest, it's been a lot of fun and it's been a huge help to me.
I want to ask you something about this platform because I try and tell guys all the time, like, listen, travel ball, it's fun and all, but at the same time, it's not the end all be all for 8 to 12, 8 to 13-year-old players. You see a lot of these kids playing for 4, 5, 6 different teams. I'm sure you guys hit up on that a lot. Can you just go and just, talk a little bit about the whole situation and how travel ball, it's taken over. Don't get me wrong, there's really good parts of it, but also it's a little difficult at the same time. Sometimes I kind of feel in my heart, I'm like, I wish it was just little league and then a little AAU ball at the end, and that's it.
No doubt. I mean, they're trying to make these special select teams, Todd, at 8. And I'm like, for what? Who are you impressing? Like, there's no scouts. And I get the fun and you want to compete. You want to teach these kids. But at the same time, like, it's promoting baseball year round, guys. And like, you all know as well as I do, you only have so many bullets in your arms. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from this whole thing is the specialization at an early age is causing massive injuries as kids get older, right? They're using the same body parts. They're never getting a break. And, we were lucky. We grew up where it was like you played football in the fall, you played basketball in the winter, you played baseball in the spring and into the summer a little bit, and then you took a break. And now it is, but I get the parents part, right? Like, if your kid's playing football and all of a sudden you have a guy playing fall ball the whole fall, you step back out on that field in February, your kid's behind, or at least that's how parents feel, right? Like, Johnny's doing better than Jimmy because he didn't play football. But I think we can all agree, right? We've all played at the highest level. You played with great players. Eventually, the best are going to show out somehow. But that's not at 12 years old, right? That's as you get older and as you start to think about that. And I just think we're trying to find ways to get kids playing all these sports. Figure out what you like. You don't have to play fall baseball at 8 years old year round. And I think that's my biggest argument to these parents is continue to let your kids play other sports until it just can't happen.
What's your favorite part of the Pure Athlete platform? Because on it has ex-big league guys, ex-college or college coaches talking about college stuff, nutritionists. What's your favorite part of the platform that you think is going to get the most use for all levels of people who subscribe, from little leaguers all the way up to college kids?
We did one with David Wright today, and he was one of my favorite teammates I played. And I just love the narrative that he's going. To get where we got, guys, you have to love the game. You have to be obsessed with the game. You have to wake up and think about the game. I got 4 kids. All my kids aren't going to think the same way I thought, right? And be like, hey, I want to miss the pool party during the summer to go play in 2 baseball games. And I think the biggest thing I want to tell these parents, it's okay if your kid doesn't want to do that. It's okay if your kid wants to just be a good high school player and then go to college and drink beer and, just live the college life. There's nothing wrong with that too. And so I think it's trying to tell these parents that even if you do go all in and you play on the highest level travel team, you're not guaranteed to play in college. You're not guaranteed to get drafted and be a first pick. And as David said, eventually it comes down to how bad does my kid want it? And I think too many times us as parents think our kids might want it more than they do. But then it's like, are you really seeing the fruits of it? Are you seeing your kid come home hitting off the tee for 30 minutes by themselves like we probably did? Like, if they're not doing that, chances are they don't love it as much as you think you do.
Agreed. And on another point, let's get back to the Braves now. We'll talk a little bit more professional baseball where every kid needs to dream about and get there for sure.
Yeah.
The Braves signed 2 big names, Mikę Yastrzemski, Robert Suarez. Talk to me about what you think about what these 2 can bring to the table. I love both of these pickups. I think it's a very good sign that the Braves are trying again to get back to where they need to be. We talked about it earlier, but what's been the consensus around where you're at and all these pickups that they got?
Well, I think the pieces are starting to take shape, and the fact that now all of a sudden you got Iglesias and Suarez in the 8th, 9th, you feel phenomenal about that. I mean, people forget this. They saw Iglesias the last first 2-3 months, guys. The last 3 months, his numbers were as good as any closer in baseball. Like, he figured it out again. He had a rough patch. So I love that. And I think also with that, you're able to keep Reynaldo Lopez in the rotation. It fills another rotation slot for you. You know, I thought, do they move him to the pen? But now that they have these, I think with Yastrzemski, what you're seeing now is you're going to have in the outfield 4 outfielders, right? So you're going to have Acuna, you're going to have Profar, you're going to have Michael Harris, and you're going to have him. So I think you're going to see a rotating DH, right? If Drake Baldwin doesn't play one day catching, you have the ability to DH him, right? So I don't think you're going to see like a Marcell Ozuna sign where they're just going to get a guy to come and DH. I think, look, to keep Ron Acuna fully healthy, it's probably not a bad idea to DH him 30 games a year, right? Keep him off his feet, give him the ability to rest on Sunday day games. My big thing still is I like the way this is played out. We got to get shortstop, right? Like, I'm just like, you have to have that guy up the middle. You think back to when the Braves have always been good. Rafael Furcal, you know, Andrelton Simmons, Dansby Swanson, they've always had a
Oh no, phone call.
He gone.
Oh wait, hold on. You might be back.
Am I back?
You're
Phone
back.
call.
You got
He's
a
back.
call.
Keep
What a
going.
rookie
Keep
mistake.
rolling. Keep rolling,
Sorry,
baby. We
guys.
ended at Andrelton Simmons. You were heating up.
Yeah, but Dansby Swanson, right? There's always been an elite shortstop. There's always been a guy there that you trust. And so I think the last piece more than anything is, look, you're going to have Strider. You're going to have Sale. Schwellenbach's coming back. You have Lopez. They got some arms. Would I like to see him add another arm? Yes. But I think you got to get a good, solid shortstop. And if you do that, with Austin Riley coming back this year, Matt Olson, Acuna's going to be healthy. Ozzie, I think, had a better second half. Like, you got a team very capable of winning the NL.
You want to put I think they have a team of superstar players. And maybe some people would be like, well, 23 was just a aberration and all that, or 22, I'm sorry, it was an aberration and where they all just did incredible and everything. I think there's elite level players. Are you okay with building a team that says, hey, Matt Olson, you play 162 games at first base. Albies, when he's healthy, he's playing every single game at second base. Riley, every single game. Acuna wants to play every single game. Hey, we're going to switch it up. Walt Weiss came in, and he's going to rotate the DH. Do you think the guys will be fine with that? And if they are fine with it, are they going to be able to make that adjustment? Because, you know, it's hard. You play the outfield, and then you go, oh, DH. Okay, well, what do I do all day? Do I hold my bat? Do I have my batting gloves on? Do I hit in the cage?
Yeah, look, first off, I'll tell you this. I love Walt Weiss. He's a lot like Snit in the fact that he's a player's manager, but y'all know why. Walt, he's going to be a little more outspoken. He's going to say some things to the players, and I think that's okay. It's okay to hold players accountable. It's okay to ruffle some feathers sometimes. And I think when I look at Walt, having those conversations at the start of spring training, right? Guys, you can both agree, like, you've been told tough things by managers sometimes, whether it's, hey, you're not going to play against today because I don't like the matchup, right? Or you don't do, but if you communicate these things, the players might not like it at first, but they're going to respect it. And I think Walt can come from a good place of that. He's got experience. He's done it. And, you know, I've said this from the beginning, like, I think we can all agree, probably the Braves were looking at other managers first and wanting them. And as I told Walt, like, you don't have to be the first, second, third choice. You got the job. Just show them you're the right choice at the right time. And I think this team's going to rally around Walt. I really do. I think the biggest thing is going to be keeping those guys on the field and keeping them healthy, because the Braves have something that not a lot of teams do. We've seen the Dodgers do it more. You're seeing less and less of the platoon, and give me the guys that can go out there day in and day out and play. And I think that's good. And that's why I think you're going to see the DH be rotated. I think that's why they did that. Like, unless you can get a Schwarber or someone that's like a slam dunk DH, keeping Acuna off his feet for 30 games, while he might not like it at times, I think towards the end of the season is going to pay huge dividends.
I want to go to Walt Weiss's position, shortstop. When you have a manager that played a certain position, you feel like he's going to look for a certain type of shortstop. Do you think it's going to be a Walt Weiss type of shortstop? Because they tried to fill in with Orlando Arcia. And I know had a great all-star year. Defensively, he was awesome. They gave him that little 2-year extension. It didn't work out. Since Dansby Swanson, it's been Orlando Arcia, Kim for a few games. Last year, they had
Nick Allen.
Thank you, Nick. I was trying to think of his last name. All I could think of was who he's a son-in-law of. What type of shortstop are they going to go after? Do you think they're going to get should they push for a Bo, who maybe is a little below defensive, or should they get just a solid piece that they know is going to be consistent there defensively and a little bit of offense?
I'll be honest, my answer to that is if you can go at another big-time pitcher, I would rather have a little bit more of a defensive shortstop and get a top arm. If you look at it, it's like we have one move left, right? Like we got 25 a year to spend on one dude. Then go get me that Bichette. Go get me a winning player, a guy that can hit, a guy that's got swag, a guy that can handle the locker room. And I've said it, like talking to, Counsell and those guys the last 2 years, like Dansby, they say the one thing we love is he has taught these guys, like if you're healthy post, play every day. If to Happ, to these guys like Bush and even Kyle Tucker till it got to the point he couldn't do it last year. But like, hey, if you're healthy, play every day. And, that can infuse a lineup. It can infuse a team. So, again, for me, if you're not going to get that extra starter, whatever it is for 10, 12, 15 million, even for a year, like go get me a top shortstop. Get me a Bichette. And maybe defensively, look, when you have Harrison center, Yastrzemski and Profar with Acuna, you have an elite outfield. You have Olsen and Riley on the corners who are outstanding. So you can get away to me with having a little less defense at short if you get someone. That was the difference last year, guys. Nick Allen was incredible. I mean, I watched this guy make every play anywhere. Problem was the team wasn't hitting. And so all of a sudden you needed offense from there and you didn't have it. So if Nick Allen was on the 23 Braves and set all those records, sure, bat ninth and whatever I get offensively is great. But when you don't have that, you have to have some offense. I'd like to see the Braves get some offense from that shortstop.
Yeah, agreed. And Nick Allen, not to toot his horn, but I played with him in USA ball, and the dude's fundamental. Defensive wise, absolutely one of the best I've ever seen. This young man.
Incredible.
Absolutely incredible. I want to go along the lines of that a little bit. Like we talk about all these guys, who they have, what they're bringing in. Who is the ultimate leader on this team? Who is the guy that's going to take all these new guys and be like, hey, this is the Braves way, nicely in the right fashion. But who's that guy that everybody's kind of going to lean on now, knowing, hey, listen, we got this ship here. Let's do it our way. Who's that guy?
I'd like to see the Austin Riley, right? Like you're from backwoods Mississippi, like you're tough nosed. You play the game the right way. I don't know that necessarily that's his, forte in what he does. Chris Sale on the pitching side, of course, is as fire as anybody. I think he's been outstanding. But I think that's the thing. Last year, you might have saw a lack of that in that clubhouse at times. Dansby and Freddie Freeman were two of those guys that were able to command that respect, command the thing. And I don't think anybody's really stepped up to do that. And we talk about a lot right on my podcast. Y'all know when you were in locker rooms, culture is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rookie.
Give him a second.
What a rookie.
Guys, you got to teach me how to put it on Do Not Disturb. That's my fault. I don't know this stuff.
Top right corner of the screen, you flick it down, and there's a little button there. But we'll talk. Keep rolling. You're cooking.
Talk about that later. But my biggest thing is when you look at it from a standpoint, you have to have somebody to lead in that clubhouse. When things go wrong, when you had the injuries you did last year, when you had some of the stuff happen, if you remember the Acuna incident earlier, someone that can come in and say, we're not letting this tear us apart. And so I think that's something that's going to be interesting. I think, Yastrzemski, I've heard great things in the clubhouse about him. And so I think Alex might be a little more aware of what you're hearing. We're seeing it with the Mets, right? I think we're seeing David Stearns trying to change the culture of what that is. I know in New York right now, we can all agree, look, Todd, you play there too. You know what it's all about. Like the world's ending up there right now. But at the same time, give him a chance to see who he brings in and who. If all of a sudden tomorrow, if I could have told you you'd give up Pete Alonso and Diaz would go somewhere, but you're going to get Tarek Skubal Would y'all sign on the dotted line for that?
For sure.
I
For
would.
sure.
I would. Give me that guy. So you have to let this stuff play out. As much as the winter meetings mean a lot, it still is the second week of December, and we're 3 weeks away or 3 months away from spring training, So I think you got to let this play out a little bit. But I do think you're going to see Alex try to bring a couple guys in there that are glue guys.
And I just want to go along those terms, like you talk about the Mets and all what's going on. I said it before, the free agents still they have to want to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After they see everything they did with Pete, guys leaving, they're moving this guy and that guy. Like, unless you're paying me the tippy toppest dollar more than everybody else, I don't know. I would be like, I'd rather go somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think if you're David Stearns, as good as Pete Alonso is, I think we all agree he has been incredible. But if you keep doing the same thing and it's not working, you can't get over the hump. I just think you have to find ways to improve your team. And that might not be what every fan wants to hear. Hey, why are we giving up him for this? But I think you have to get creative. And that's what I think with the Braves maybe is we've seen them add some of these guys sometimes. And it's like when you go back, Kratz, you mentioned it in 22. It was the guys that no one expected at the trade deadline or in 21. Eddie Rosario, right? Jorge Soler. Guys that ended up making the difference for the Braves to win the World Series. So it's not always. And if you remember that year in 21, who was the big splash? It was the Dodgers. They got Trey Turner and they got Max Scherzer. But it didn't work. And so my point is sometimes you have to change things a little bit and change the culture and the way it's played. And I think you're seeing some of these teams maybe say, you know what, it hasn't worked, so we got to do something different. To me, some of the best teams that we've seen in the playoffs, what do they have? Dominant back-end bullpens where it is locked down over. I go to the Royals back in the day. You look at some of these teams, the Cubs, like that's what they did. So I think you're seeing Alex take a little bit of a different approach in Atlanta.
All right, last question. Your platform's called pureathlete.com. I have a serious question for you.
Yeah.
Do you wish you were more athletic before? Like, do you wish that you were more athletic?
Hey, all I know is I can send you highlight films from high school, and we can finish this debate off. And I'm not going to have the Mark DeRosa like, hey, the street's named after me in Penn University. Okay, I'm not going down D-Rose Road here, like watch me, but I will say this, and I'm just saying, hey, Kratzy, first ballot Georgia High School Football Hall of Famer with Herschel Walker. Charlie Ward, Champ Bailey, Boss Bailey. So I'm just saying that. I'll just throw that out there for you.
Oh, baby, got him. Got him.
You just got put on Instagram as whatever. The whole trend is you got to ask somebody if they're athletic.
Hey,
so I thought you would be on.
I'm joking around. If you want to know why I don't feel athletic, I got a hip replacement 3 weeks ago. Legitimately 3 weeks from yesterday. I got a full hip replacement on my left side, my left hip.
You're too young for that, Frenchie.
I'm walking around on a crutch. I think it goes to show you how bad of a front. It's showing you how bad of a front foot hitter I was. I'm like, Jesus, all those sliders just chasing them and chasing them. Finally, my hip just gave out.
I'm going to need that too pretty soon, I promise.
Frenchie,
41.
A hip?
41 years old. Hey, you're blaming me. Alex Gordon got it 2 weeks before I did. We went to Pinehurst in September, and Gordo couldn't even finish playing the last round. He had to ride in the cart for the last 9 holes.
Oh, no.
Gordo got a hip replacement? That guy's he's like Adonis.
Oh, dude, that's what I'm saying. And then he had a tougher time, and my wife said, well, the good news is you're not as strong and muscular as Alex, so it's probably going to go easier for you. They're not going to have to work through all that muscle like they did with him.
Yeah, let's dig in.
Your wife is not wrong. Alex
No,
is
she's
definitely
not.
stronger and has a much nicer body than you do.
But if you ever do get a hip replacement, I tell you, get it during Thanksgiving like I did, because everybody came to us, and I sat on the couch and watched college and pro football for 10 days nonstop.
Nice.
That's the time. That's the time. Hey, on your way out, you got something, Todd?
No, I was saying he's definitely sitting on a nice soft cushion seat or something. You got something underneath there, don't you?
Oh,
you bring it with you to your kids' games and stuff. You got to plop on.
Let me tell you, man, my softball girl, before I got it done, I was limping out to the mound, and my softball girls, I coach a 12U travel team, and they're like, and you used to be a professional athlete. I'm like, save it,
Oh,
girls.
God,
All right. I don't need to
that
hear
hurts. That hurts.
Todd, I heard he's got like a heated seat button. He's got it all. Okay. Frenchie, you're the man. Thank you. And from what we were talking about earlier, Pure Athlete, Instagram, YouTube at Pure Athlete Inc. You can listen to the show that Frenchie's on too on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. Plenty of big guests on there, like he said. Good combo with David Wright as well. Good stuff, Frenchie. Good catching up with you, man.
Hey, anytime AJ's not on, y'all give me a ring, man. I'd love to join y'all.
Done. Every time we get Frenchie again from now on, we know when to get him. Appreciate you, man. Have a good
See
holiday.
you guys. Y'all be good.
See ya. Dooba-dooba-dooba-doo. Leo, BetMGM Futures. We've been racking them up, Todd Father. NL Cy Young winner. We're looking for value. And actually, there's plenty of value in my mind in all three here. You're getting decent odds. Paul Skeens at plus 300. So that's 3-1. You got 4.5-1 on Yamamoto and Christopher Sanchez at 10-1 odds. What are we thinking here, Todd Father? I mean, we're just showing the top three. Of course, you can go deeper down, but you like any of these?
Yeah, I like Paul Skeens, man. I just don't. I mean, it's the top pick. The guy has just been incredible. I think you go with him at the top, and then, yeah, I mean, plus 1,000. I don't think you can go bad with that for Sanchez. I mean, it's an easy, yeah, put whatever you want on it, but you got to take a guy that's down below there. I do like Sanchez too as well.
I think he nailed it for me, Kratz, because he didn't say Yamamoto. I love Yamamoto, but the Dodgers take care of their pitchers during the season. They've got 20 starters, and I know that starts to dwindle, but they're well aware that Yamamoto pitched a lot in October. So that's one where I'm shying away.
Yeah, I can't get on the fact that Yamamoto's blew past his starts amount of starts he's ever had. And I get it, he pitches once every 6 days, but I just don't see, he could have the same production, but I don't see the same amount of innings because they're playing for another ring, which I don't blame them. Paul Skeens, this is huge. This is a huge, that's a big number for me. For the favorite, plus 300, I really like that number. And when I go down the list, I would love to drop a little bit on Logan Webb, and maybe because if it was maybe more like 16-1, right now it's 12-1, Hunter Green, I think, has taken that next step. I think Hunter Green's figured out how to stay healthy. He's taken the next step of how to be a guy who doesn't have to, just empty his clip in the first 3 innings. He's now pitching and still getting those numbers. At 12-1, I really like Hunter Green to win the Cy Young. I feel like, we could have somebody that could step up like Christopher Sanchez stepped up this year and take it, if it's not Skeens, because Skeens has shown he's not letting anybody else win this award.
I like that one. Hey, BetMGM's now live in Missouri too, so take advantage of that new sign-up offer. Bonus code FOUL, up to $1,500 on a new player offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Make it legendary. You get that paid back in bonus bets if you don't win, up to $1,500 on that bet, depending on what you place. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're going to hit Todd Father right off the jump here for his thoughts, and then Kratz can take over. Minor league rule change experiment could eliminate hitter timeouts, Todd Father. They're trying to take the game time down because it's actually creeping back up again. We're at 2 hours and 38 minutes. The league would like it to be 2.5. They're trying to game plan. We do see a timeout per at bat, essentially, for hitters, so they're going to experiment. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I've always had problems trying to read what MLB's trying to do. You get one timeout per plate appearance. I don't mind that. I know I'm probably sure everybody's going to use that, just because pitchers try to speed you up. Yeah, I don't mind doing stuff in the minor leagues, trying to check it out to see if it'll work in the big leagues. I don't mind that. But if it's very far-fetched, then, it's a bigger issue. But I thought everything was working well, besides, all of a sudden, now you could tap your head if you want another if they want him to check the pitch. I think that's really good. But ultimately, yeah, I don't see a big problem in this. I think this will be just fine.
I'm glad you're saying that, because I think Kratz is going to disagree. But Kratz, they're doing this also because of the ABS challenge system, and they think it could creep up the minutes, and they just don't want to get back to 3 hours again. The pace is good. And hey, for me, I'm just giving you fan perspective, Kratz. Kratz, it's not just the time, it's the pace. Like, hitter timeout, and I got to wait 30 seconds for him to, fix the jock strap and do all the BS and think about what he wants to do the rest of the AB. Screw it. I want to watch the game. Keep going.
We're telling Todd to get out of here, so I just want to push his screen and just get it at see how that happened? I control this. I control this show. For that comment, no, that just shows that Todd didn't need the minor leagues. Todd didn't need the minor leagues. There's dudes that are grinding in the minor leagues. There's guys that need to oh man, everything's going so fast. I gotta create a routine. Hitting is not just baseball, whack it. No, it's you're figuring out the timing. You're figuring out, okay, what did he just do? How did that change the situation that we were just in? How is this? Oh, crap, I got a bug in my eye. I get it. There is a lot of eyewash timeouts. Jose Caballero is probably the best at it, but it's also part of the gamesmanship. It's also part of the fact that you can change how the pace of an at-bat is going. And it's hard to explain without you actually being in the moment and saying, hey, why did you use a timeout there? I wanted to slow him down. I felt like he was landing all of his pitches. I wanted to figure out, hey, would he double up on this pitch or whatever it is? And you're taking that away from the minor league guys. I hate it, because these guys have no recourse. There's nobody standing up for them. And Major League Baseball just says, you're our guinea pig. We're probably going to actually take away low A in a little bit because we're a bunch of cheap punks who don't want to pay for kids' dreams to develop into big leaguers, because dudes do come out of those leagues. Dudes do. It's not all just first rounders. It's not all just second rounders or big bonus guys. And I lean towards that. And to me, when you take this away from a hitter, when they're facing dudes that throw a billion, and especially in low A, I mean, dudes are throwing rocks up there. They're throwing balls, they'll paint a slider down and away, and then you'll get 100 running in, up and in at your chin. You need a second. You need to take a breath. And I hate that they would take this away from these guys. For what? For what, Scott? 3 extra minutes? Stop.
It's more than that.
To me, in the big leagues, you think the timeouts are save or would save 3 extra minutes in the game?
More than that. I do. I think it would be closer to 10. You got to think about it. Let's say we have a long inning, right? There's been 10 dudes at the plate. They all call timeout. That right there could add up to a few minutes in an inning alone, and even in a short inning, right? 3 ABs, batter timeout. I don't know what the average timeout is, but it's not 5 seconds. It's probably at least 10 to 20.
I'd be up for a timeout, like a 10-second timeout. If you're
like a shorter timeout.
If you're splitting hairs, I'd be up for that. You can say, okay, timeout. And then they give this and they reset the clock to 10 seconds. And at 10 seconds, then they reset the clock. There's timing there. I feel bad for the pitchers. I think the pitchers in the big leagues need a timeout. They need to be able to step off. With nobody on, they need a step off. And they're not given that.
Wait, Kratz, hold up. 2 things. Number 1, you can step off. It just counts as a step off, right? And if you do that
with nobody on, you can't step off.
No.
The clock is running.
Okay, you also can call timeout and have a little chit chat with your catcher. That's allowed.
That's a mound visit.
I know that's part of a mound visit, but that's a thing. The other thing that I think is important is discretion. The reason that we have human beings on the field that get paid quite well to police the game is for a moment when there's serious chin music and a guy needs a moment, right? Ball hits a catcher in the nuts. Let's fake like we got to clean the plate. I think that's the way that you help to bridge the gap. The problem is most ABs, Kratz, don't need it. I know that you feel as if a player needs it, but it's the same conversation that I had with pitchers when they were anti-pitch clock. And the pitch clock has been one of the best things for the sport. And the only reason we didn't have it 5 to 7 years ago is because the league and the players side do not get along. We should have had that long, long ago. But anyway, we have it now. And to me, the game is crisper and it is a much better viewing experience. I know I'm going to get plenty of pushback from the old school fans that never want to see a single thing change. I am actually old school because I grew up watching the game in the 80s and the 90s. And for me, that's when the game was at a much better pace, and we've gotten back to that. They're just trying to figure out ways to make sure that it doesn't creep back to 3 hours, because the ABS challenge system could add minutes to it and could add a little bit of a slower pace. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. I don't think the ABS is going to suddenly add 10 minutes, but they're just concerned that teams and players are really smart and they figure out ways to take advantage of every single rule and every single system. And that is their job. Their job is to win and their job is to thrive. So the league is pushing back and making sure that we stay more in that 2.5 range and we don't get back to 245, 250, 3 hour plus games. If you think this isn't the right thing, then offer other solutions, because they're not going to let the sport slow down again.
Okay. I need to see the number. I need to see the number of how slow it's actually going to get to with ABS and with the timeouts. Like, there needs to be a cap with like what we're taking away, because of the fact that I know what my mind is doing in the box. We talk about it all the time with Max Muncy on here. We talk about it all the time with winning teams. You have team at bats. Boom, first pitch out. Guy comes up, second pitch of his at bat, ground ball. Now we're at 3 pitches, 2 outs. Okay? You come up, you're taking 2 pitches. Pitcher's in a groove. Boom, he lands a curveball, lands a heater. Now you're down 0-2. Your mind isn't like, oh, it's okay, I'll just see a baseball coming at me here. No, your mind is like, gosh darn it, that's the worst time that could happen. Timeout. Timeout. I need to slow this down. I need to regroup. I need to know I have 1 pitch left, and I haven't even really had a competitive at-bat yet, and I'm 0-2. Because there's times when you have 600 at-bats in a season, your mind is just like, oh my gosh, did I come up to the plate 0-2? Like, they're like, now batting Erik Kratz, 0-2. And you're like, what the heck? Like, there's times that that's going on. And I think the timeout allows you to slow that down. And you have to learn that at the minor leagues, because when you get to the big leagues, whoo, baby, stuff starts going fast.
Okay. Do you want 1 timeout per inning for hitters? 1 timeout per hitter is
2.
an issue. 2 timeouts per inning for hitters. Okay. See, we can negotiate. Now we can start to work off of that. And it does give you one other thing you have to pay attention to, but these are smart hitters. And if you put it in a place where they can see it and they're well aware of it, I think that's your spot. And again, if something ancillary happens, like chin music, guy's freaking helmet flies off, there's discretion here. But just for your average inning, if we have an inning where there's 6 dudes at the plate, that would take us from 6 timeouts to 2. And the one problem in my mind with baseball 10 years ago was unlimited timeouts. Then we started limiting the mound visits. That part alone is still underrated. You know, I bring that up all the time because that was my prime days of being at games, and the amount of times that certain catchers in baseball would call timeout almost every AB and go have a chit chat with their pitcher was insane. And half the times you talk to the pitcher and they'd be like, yeah, that's just their thing. They're doing it every AB now. That was terrible. That was dumb. And that was where you were taking advantage of rules, because we didn't used to have that, right? The rule never existed that we had to limit the timeouts, but it was caused by gamesmanship on the field. So are we negotiating right now where we get 2 timeouts in an inning? And should you text one of your buddies at the league office? Is Raul Ibanez or somebody like that still working there? I can text Michael Hill, maybe one of those guys at the league office, and throw that their way.
I would love it, but I just want somebody to look out for the minor leaguers and not to use them as freaking guinea pigs. Don't raise the mound. Don't extend the mound. This isn't like indie ball. I get it. I feel bad for the indie ball guys, but, maybe that's the place to try it. Not a guy who's getting his feet wet, and it's the first time he's ever been away from his home facing dudes that are throwing 100, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm just trying to survive here. Holy crap. I saw in Jason Stark's article, low A, where they would start this in the 3 low A leagues, low A hitters average is at 231. They hit 231 on average because of how tough the pitching is right now. You're going to make it this will make it tougher for hitters. I completely 100% agree it will make it tougher for them.
I agree with you. That part I don't dispute. And they have to experiment somewhere. They're not going to bring things straight to the bigs. They have to do it somewhere. There's only so many places where you can experiment. I'm with you. It sucks. It's not ideal. It could cost a player an AB that costs him a spot on a team. But I don't always have the best solution. I'm just saying the problem is they get worried about pace and game time. It's a good debate. We can bring it on with AJ and more Todd Father at some point. Now let's slap. We're so good today. 3 o'clock on the dot. 300,000 subscribers is the next goal for us. We're getting close. I'd like to get there either right before or right after the new year. That would be nice. So tell your friends if you're watching us right now, and we'll be on tomorrow to cover more trades and signings. And we're on every single weekday, baseball the way it should be covered. And it's not just FT. Fair Territory special edition episode tomorrow with Ken Rosenthal, which I'm very much looking forward to, a recap from Ken on winter meetings. And really, it's not just the recap on what happened. It's what he's hearing while he's there. I see Ken in the lobby the whole time. I did a lot of like little shoulder tap, like I'm passing by you. I'm not going to say a formal hi because I know how busy you are. And I see him walking with front office people and chatting with them. So it's cool to see Ken really in his element, and he'll give you some word tomorrow on what else he's hearing about what's coming up next in terms of trades and signings. Also, Dodgers territory, 5 o'clock Eastern today, a special time for them, 2 o'clock West Coast, as they'll bring on Jerry Hairston Jr. to talk about what the Dodgers have done so far this offseason, which is actually more than most teams. They signed Edwin Diaz. We'll see what's next. One thing we didn't get to that I hope they get to on Dodgers territory today is continuous rumors about Teoscar Hernandez being floated in trade talks. Their GM, Brandon Gomes, kind of shut it down. But if you keep seeing it float out there by people that you trust, oh no. We'll see what Alana and Clint have to say along with Jerry. Kratz Hatz on the way out, and then you can say the goodbye.
I love seeing all the rumors too about Tarik Skubal to the Dodgers. Love seeing all these rumors. Some people that are saying they have insight on it. Crazy to me. But anyway, we'll see what happens. And then all these people who are just throwing stuff out will be like, oh yeah, I told you. Oh yeah, right, okay. If I say everyone's going to hit a homer, somebody will hit a homer. Marlins, I think they're going to have a bigger part of this offseason than what people think. So I wore my Marlins hat today.
That's a good prediction. And yes, some people do predict a homer on every AB, and then you're right once out of 200
Clip
times.
Clip that. Scott said Pete Alonso was going to hit a homer.
Yep.
Tyler O'Neill
is
going to hit a homer on opening day. Tyler O'Neill, I'm saying it right now. Clip this. December 11th, if he's healthy, he's going to hit a home run on opening day.
That is his thing. We'll see you tomorrow. More Todd Father, Kratz, me, and guests.